Hi, my name is Gery Moore. I am a teaching artist, a yoga instructor, writer, and overall fierce bad bitch.
Yeah.
6, 7, 8.
And welcome. This is Talking with Teaching Artists with me, Jordan J.RO Ordoñez, or Mr. Jordan to some of my students. And this is the podcast where we candidly talk with, genuinely connect to, and humbly learn from our fellow teaching artists, talking about our teaching roses and thorns, arts education, class management, social emotional learning, and so much more. Introducing everybody, my new co-host, Gery Moore.
Hey, what's the tea?
Hey. Thank you so much for doing this. Did you hear the rumor about butter?
I did not hear the rumor about butter.
Never mind. I'm not going to spread it.
That was actually really cute. No shade. I do like that one.
You enjoyed that one?
Yeah, I did.
So going into our personal roses and thorns before we start, right?
Yeah.
One of the things that I have a thorn is that you gave me the news is that you may be moving.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, and so this is my excuse to keep in touch, keep you in my life.
I see. Not emotionally manipulative at all.
Yeah, because if you don't join and do this with me, then professionally I'm going to be a failure. So you don't want me to be a professional failure, do you?
I mean, you and failure are two words I would never put in the same sentence together. So, with or without little old me by your side. But I'll always be by your side.
So that is my thorn.
That's your thorn. Okay.
As you told me that you're going to be moving out of Chicago.
Yeah.
So you have to do your rose and thorn and then the feeling word, right?
Oh, yeah.
And that
Yeah.
makes me feel nostalgic.
Oh.
Yes. And my rose is... It was my birthday on Friday.
Yes, it was.
Yeah, It
Mm-hmm.
was my birthday on Friday. And this weekend I spent it with myself, mostly.
Really?
With myself and Bia.
Oh.
Yeah. I wrote a blog post, watched a movie that was really great, and slept a lot.
Mm-hmm. Was that by choice? Like, did you plan for this birthday to be a little bit more Jordan recharging focus as opposed to external Jordan?
Mm-hmm.
Ah.
Yeah, because Bia asked me, what do you want to do? Do you want to have your friends come over like last year and hang out and stuff? And I said, no, I don't really feel like it. Yeah. What about you? Personal rose and thorn.
My personal rose is that I was able to be there for my older sister in kind of like, not necessarily a time of crisis, but she kind of, I mean, it's obviously not my tea to spill, so I'm not going to, but I will say like a major event recently happened in her life.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the things and we were like hanging out yesterday for like, cause she wanted a key for Labor Day weekend. And one of the things that she expressed was like, not necessarily just wanting to like go back home like alone. And so I was just like, well, I'll come over and spend the night with you. And so being able to just like be there for her, just to like listen, like have a listening ear with, someone to like watch TV with, someone to drink with, and just overall companionship. Like it wasn't even like a full-time therapy session or anything, but just like being present and being readily available for her, because she's always done that for me. So that felt really good to be able to return that favor.
Nice.
Yeah.
You're really good at that.
Oh, thank you.
Especially with me.
Yeah, I do what I can, because you definitely reciprocate it to me. So that means
there's a form of being there for people where you don't necessarily have to hold space.
Mm-hmm.
You just have to show up and be present.
Yeah. Well, thank you. I appreciate that.
Yeah. And it's always a bright light.
Aww.
Like your bandana.
It matches Mickey's shoes, you know. Accessories are important.
What about a
personal thorn.
Thorn.
I guess my personal thorn would be is like you said, like I do want to plan on like moving and leaving Chicago, but the problem is like figuring out the logistics and knowing that I'm planning on moving somewhere that's far more expensive than here. And I'm already like, it's already hard. I mean, it's hard to live in a city in general, but like living in Chicago is already pretty hard. And then the thought of like moving to somewhere that's going to cost me even more money, it's pretty scary. It's like pretty daunting. I just keep reminding myself that I'm very resourceful and I have resources. And like I said before, like I'm fierce and I'm a bad bitch, and bad bitches make it happen. So
you got it. I really like the way that you approach like upcoming adversity or something like that. I've never, like, you and Freddie, I think, are the ones that have that like is it alter ego? Do you call it an alter ego, or just like?
I feel like I wouldn't necessarily say alter ego, but I feel like it's just like a different aspect of Gery. Like, to quote like from Shrek, how like like ogres have layers like onions. I can't speak for how my good sis Freddie feels about it, but I feel like for me that's how like I feel to him. Like, all right, there's all these different aspects that like make up the physical and spiritual entity that is Gery.
Yeah.
And so like it's like those layers to the onion of like, okay, this is this layer, this is that layer, this is this aspect of myself.
So there's a part of fierce dark phoenix Gery.
Yeah. The side that nobody wants to see, myself included. We try to keep her caged.
I enjoy that idea of like
me jacking from X-Men.
If needed.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
If
needed, I will fuck some shit up. Most certainly.
Yeah. So from now on, thank you for sharing your personal roses and thorns.
Yes.
So from now on, you'll be joining me in the hosting chair.
Yeah. I'm super stoked and excited, and I mean any situation that like adds more Jordan into my life is automatically gonna like make me smile and make me happy, because you're one of my best friends for a reason. And then to be able to I tend to have that effect on people, you know. But then also to be able to dive in and discuss something with someone that I know is just as smart as I am, is as intellectual as I am, as knowledgeable about I am, but also has these very unique experiences and perspectives that I don't have on talking about a subject matter that obviously matters a lot to the both of us. So I think that's what I'm looking forward to the most, is doing something that I know the passion is just as elevated and heightened, if not more, on the opposite person's end.
And then what do you think about the idea of interviewing people? So we'll have guests on here. Right?
Yeah,
Just
it's
like
something
how you
I've
were a guest.
never done before. I've always been on like the receiving end of interviews. So to be the person that actually poses the questions and stuff like that, I'm like, okay, she gets to live out her talk show fantasy host, like, you know.
What kind of interview do you think you are?
Oh, I never thought about that. That's a good.
What do you think you're gonna be? You're gonna be the what's her name, Gail King? Were you silent? Or were you silenced?
I know for sure. I know I won't be the Wendy Williams type. I can tell you that right now.
Explain that. What does that mean?
Like, just basically like getting all up in people's business, like having a very blurred line between what's appropriate and what's inappropriate. Even if we all like, of course, everyone wants the juice and everyone wants the tea, but like, I would much rather make the person feel comfortable in opening up about themselves. Right. So I think I'll have like a more laid back and casual approach. Like, I want it to feel more like a conversation as opposed to like a Q&A. Yeah. What about you? What kind of interviewer do you feel you are?
Yeah, one of the things that I think I have honed, or that I'm really wanted to work on for a few years, is the skill of asking questions.
Mm-hmm.
Taking from like my training as a pharmacist of having open-ended questions and trying to get information out of a patient.
Yeah.
That like they wouldn't normally get, and trying because you have to find the nuances of people's answers for you to make a correct and like accurate and safe assessment.
Oh wow!
To make a sort of decision or choice with their medication.
Yeah.
Or therapy, because if you miss something, it could be really detrimental.
Exactly. Yeah.
And so that type of thing of like trying to suss out like, oh, that's important. Ooh, that's important. I need to follow up on that. Ooh, I need to
yeah.
So something like that, in addition to the way that I teach, which is the approach of creating a safe space so you or the guest or whoever has the comfortability, like you mentioned, to just talk. And so I think combining that means starting with open-ended questions, leading with curiosity. Nessa always says that. Leading with curiosity, and then just like levity.
Yeah.
Right? So it's not just like this heavy conversation this whole time.
Right.
I think that's what makes for the most entertaining, edutaining conversations.
Mm-hmm. No, I think that's really cool, using your experiences in the arts and pharmacy to kind of navigate those waters of creating the environment for the type of interview that you're envisioning. That's that's dope.
Thank you. And speaking of that, let's get into our teaching Roses and Thorns.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Let's get it. So, if we could, you can do your thorn, I'll do my thorn, and then rose.
Okay.
And then we'll wrap up with our final thoughts at the end.
For sure.
Sounds good.
Yeah. I haven't been, obviously it's like summer, so I haven't been like teaching as much and as frequently. So this has to do with when I like headed out of state to teach, which happened twice this summer. But because I have like very bad and severe eczema and didn't have the resources or access to get like the treatment that I needed, it was like affecting like my like range of motion and body mobility and just like mental and like emotional health and wellness. And so it's tough I'm heading out of town and I'm seeing people that I haven't seen in 2 years, because the last time I did both of these campsites was in the summer of 2022. So these are people, so it's been 2 years since I've seen them. On a good year, I'm going to see these people annually. And both camp sessions currently are only a week long. And these are some of the people that like matter like the most to me, like the West and like the CAS community. Like both of those places are just unlike anywhere else I've ever been before, and just the sense of like community and creativity and magic that happens there. It's never like anything else I've experienced in my artistic journey. But with that being said, since I wasn't like feeling or looking so good because of the severity of my eczema, it's just like I don't want to like really engage with people, and I do want to be like by myself, and I don't want a lot of attention drawn to me, because of course everyone's going to be concerned, right? Because these are people that like love me and care about me and so on and so forth. So like obviously I know it's coming from like the heart, but at the same time I'm just like I don't want to keep having to explain what's like wrong with me. I don't want to have to like keep lying and saying that like everything's okay, because honestly it's not.
Like when people ask you, hey, what's up?
Like, yeah, like, oh, like, how are you feeling? I'm just like I don't want to make them more worried. And like, so I'm going to lie. And I'm going to say like, oh, like, it's fine. Like, I'm going to be okay, so on and so forth. But like, really, I'm just like, no, this is fucked up. And this is bullshit. Like, I'm just like, I don't like the way I'm feeling. I don't like the way I'm looking. Like, I'm like, it's making me hard to like, I didn't even have my classes like fully figured out yet. Like,
like a lesson plan.
Yeah. I signed a contract. Like I'm here for work, right? This isn't a vacation. There's things expected of me. So I was just like, I'm gonna put on my big girl panties and rise to the occasion, you know what I mean? But with all that being said, it's just like I want to talk to these people and I want to engage with them and hang out with them and do all of the things. But I essentially lost like 2.5 days of the one in California because like once we finished like doing what we had to do, I just like immediately beelined like back to my cabin and just like kept to myself. Like I didn't do, obviously there has to be activities, right? Like outside of classes for like the campers to do. So I like didn't go to any of those things, or like there's this expectation of being an instructor. You have to have like a presence in the camp, which makes sense. Like that's what makes it community based.
Yeah.
Like you're not just the teacher. Like the best way I can say it is the second that like the campers come on site, like you have to be on basically all the time. So
and that's like all day.
Yeah,
too.
Exactly.
It's not just an hour or two.
Yeah, it's
in
not
class.
just when I'm teaching. It's also like if I'm seeing people in passing, or if I'm seeing people in the dining hall, or if I'm seeing people, again, like just like at any of the camp activities. Like you have to have, like you're there as an instructor, so you have to have that certain type of like presence.
Yeah, being on the whole day.
Yeah, and when you don't want to deal with people, it was really, really tough and really, really challenging. And I mean, it helped me grow as a person, which of course it's like I'm always like, that's the goal, at least for me personally. Like that's the whole goal of my life, like to continue like growing and expanding like my universe and my consciousness and my perspective, and get as close as humanly possible to like a state of enlightenment and ascendance. But going through that, was it fun? Fuck no. Like it sucked. It was horrible. It wasn't fun at all.
What feeling words came up?
Feeling word would have to be confliction.
Confliction.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, conflicted.
Yeah, definitely.
Say more.
Absolutely. Just like I said, like wanting so badly to just like unplug, but knowing that like I don't get that luxury. Like I don't, like at the very least, I'm like, bitch, you're expected to make multiple dances, so you gonna make these dances. I usually have like an idea of what I want to do, and then I adjust it accordingly, but I didn't even have that.
Did you find a way to manage it, or was it constantly the whole camp just like conflicted the whole time?
I think it was a combination of just like everybody being super, super like understanding. Like everyone was so just like gracious and kind and like willing to just like let me do what I need to do, but also like letting me know that they're there for me and everyone's rooting for me to get better, which was really nice. But then also just like rest. I slept a lot. Like any chance that I got, I would like rest and take naps and just like make sure to like not do too much.
So there were some people that you were like transparent with and not necessarily completely isolated from. There were some people that
one of like my best friends and chosen family, Mike, who's one of the people who helped me get the position at the camp, he kind of like helped spread the word to people and just kind of like let people like pass it along to like, hey, like Gary's having like some really bad skin condition like problems and is not feeling so hot about it, so just as like an FYI. And so that kind of just like spread around the camp to where it's just like, hey, like Gary's not feeling like Gary, so just like let him.
Did you ask him to do that?
He actually offered.
Okay.
Yeah, he actually offered. And once, because that thought never even crossed my mind. Because again, like one of the things I thought about was like, I was like, it's tiring constantly having to explain to people like why your face fucking looks like Freddy Krueger. I don't want to keep, because that's constantly reminding me of how like bad I look and how much I don't look like myself. So that him doing that was like a huge, huge help. And then, obviously seeing like the camp nurse multiple times a day and stuff like that.
Okay. So you had some support.
Yeah, I had support. Most, like,
Yeah.
1,010%. Yeah, definitely.
So even though you felt isolated, maybe we weren't
Well,
necessarily.
I wanted the isolation. That was the thing. It's like
Okay.
I wanted to be in community, but at the same time, it was like one of those things where I was just like, I know you're concerned, but like if you see me in the line getting food at the dining hall, like don't look at me, don't talk to me, like don't draw attention to me was basically my thing. I was like, I don't want that because I fucking don't like the way that I look right now. I look like shit.
Yeah, and you made it through.
I did, yeah. Didn't have much of another choice, any other choice, but yeah, I did. Yeah. I did the damn thing, and my classes all got positive feedback from like both campsites, and changed people's lives for the better, made an impact. That's always the goal, right? Why else would I be doing art if not to raise the vibration of the earth and change people's lives for the better?
Can I share my thorn?
Absolutely, you can.
My thorn recently, my teaching thorn recently, has been feeling anxious and proud at the same time. So Bia and I are thinking about wanting to have kids in the next few years. And so one of the things that I'm thinking about in my professional life is trying to find something more stable. This past summer and then coming up, it's always just a scramble to, hey, where are the jobs? Like something, being a contracted worker.
Yeah.
As a teacher and as a dancer.
Of
and
course.
Then now as an actor. It's nice. The flexibility. So I'm proud that I've been able to make it since I started.
Yeah. Rightfully so, as you should be.
Since leaving pharmacy and going into all of this.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've been able to pay my bills as an individual.
Yeah.
And
that is not easy.
And it's been manageable with me now, like with a partner. And it's been manageable. But now thinking about, like, we were even just playing around with having a dog. And we're like, oh, even that's expensive. Even that's expensive. And I need,
a child's going to be 50 times more expensive. Yeah.
And so that's the next project overall is how do I make
more money?
Yeah, this artist job more stable and consistent.
Yeah. Did anything like come up for you even if you haven't like kind of like investigated it or anything? Like did anything come up of like, oh, actually, like, yeah, I could do that and incorporate that into my regimen and line of work that I have going on? Or are we still just kind of like in the dark and trying to find our way?
There are seeds that I know that I can plant in different areas. So that's part of like how why I'm so proud is that like I know I can go, like, I have this option. I can just have to pursue it.
That's wonderful.
But part of it is also I'm a year into like my acting training too. And so there's a whole nother factor of I have to be flexible to audition and go on different projects for that too.
Definitely.
And so how do I keep that? So it's like I need the flexibility.
Definitely.
Of being a working artist, of being contracted everywhere and kind of available within a week if I need it. But then also I need the consistency and stability of maybe a W-2 job.
Right, yeah.
And how do I make that work? One of the conversations that B and I had was, let's do this. Let's plan for it. Let's make sure our lives, like once we start trying, let's make sure that it's stable and we can do that. And also, I told her, I have a fear. I know that we're going to do this right, but just I have this fear that the part of me that wants to give things 100%, talking about the kids, is going to have me neglect my artist side. That's my fear.
Yeah.
I know I wasn't like, you're making me do this and
right.
blah 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 blah. It was just I have this fear. I just want to let it out.
Yeah.
As we're doing it, and I know that we'll do this correct. And,
yeah.
And she knows that that's important to me
Yeah.
as we move into it. So
I think that was extremely vulnerable of you, and with that being said, I think very courageous to kind of just like express that type of fear, because I mean, I hate to break it to you, but you're 1,000% correct. If you think that your life is going to look the exact same way it does artist-wise by procreating, you're lying to yourself and you're wrong. You are going to have to sacrifice that time, because kids, especially babies, they require so much work. And I mean, just being with my sister the past 24 hours and my niece who's just about to turn 2 years old. I love her with every fiber of my being, but goddamn does she require a lot of attention. Like, to the point to where she's cute and I love her, but it is to the point where she's annoying. And I'm just like, you need something again? I just tended to you 30 seconds ago. Why are you calling me again? Like, so you're right. You're not going to be able to be as active in the arts anymore because you're going to have to be a dad. And so that fear is so logical and so human and so understandable. And for you to bring it up to your wife this early on, that takes a lot of awareness of self. And like I said, that takes a lot of vulnerability and courage to just bring that up to her, to I'm like, I'm scared of this happening. And like I said, no shade, honey, it is going to happen because you got to be a dad.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you for validating and affirming.
Yeah, for sure. That's like, it's a very human thing what you're thinking, and extremely logical.
And I wasn't expecting this, but as I was just sharing it, my breath was trembling.
Really?
Yeah.
It's scary. Of course it's scary.
And even maybe, I don't know if it was necessarily the idea of having a kid.
Mm-hmm.
But it was just the sharing and expressing it.
Yeah. That's a very tender part of you that you just put on the table for someone. So that's why I was like,
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Because I know.
But you did it.
Being a caregiver is a part of my identity.
Mm-hmm.
I think. I don't want it to be like these two identities kind of in opposition to each other, but it's just.
I think it's a matter of just knowing that it's not going to be an opposition of each other, because you don't have to pick one over the other, right?
Yeah.
It's just, realistically speaking, the way your relationship to your artistry has to change, because you're not a dad now. But once you become a dad, that's a whole new identity you're taking on. And that identity, to do it successfully, takes a fuck ton of amount of time. Therefore, something's got to give. Because there's only 24 hours in a day, and you're only human, and you're only one person. So typically speaking, the thing that gives, it is going to be your artistry. And that's what I've observed from my friends that are in the arts that become parents. Hell no, they're not as active as they used to be. Why? Because they're either a mother or a father. And that's their choice, right? Like, the joy of, I'm assuming, because there ain't enough money on this planet for me to become a parent. That's for goddamn sure.
You're saying this apparent joy that
yeah,
people keep
the
talking
joys
about.
of parenting that people always talk about. Whatever you say, honey. But with that being said, it's supposed to be worth it.
It's supposed to.
So I'll take your word for it, honey. Because I'm not the 1, the 2, or the 3. No thanks. But you'll be amazing at both. I know you'll be. The world's going to be a better place once you become a dad. I know it will.
Thank you.
Yeah, because you're going to be good at being a parent. So the world's going to get, at the very least, one more, like, good human being on the planet.
Yeah.
And so's Bia. Bia, you're going to be a great mom.
Thank you. Okay, so we can take a break.
Yeah, for sure. Let's do it.
And we're back.
Hey.
Okay, so we'll finish off this episode with our teaching roses, and then we have our final segment. You got to help me find out a different name for this because
Final segment ain't cutting it.
no, it also was like 1 minute bud, like things that you're looking forward to, or like your growing edges.
I see.
Just so, but the idea is we'll figure it out.
Yeah.
But the idea is
we'll workshop it.
like the conclusion, something that like has to do with either roses and thorns, like the name, or like the final end of a lesson plan, a circle time.
There has to be
some
like
sort of name.
a ribbon around the package.
Exactly.
I got you.
Yeah. We'll figure it out.
Yeah. Well, like I said, we'll workshop it.
Okay.
Oh, it'll be a good excuse to have a summer party.
Ah.
Okay. Like I mentioned last time.
Okay. So Gary, what's one of your teaching roses recently? It could be multiple.
So my teaching rose it actually has to do with my thorn.
Okay.
So it kind of is just the fact of like proving to myself and proving to others of just kind of like rising to the occasion in like the face of adversity. Like never before have I taught with like not only like physical disability, but like also just like not having my full range of motion, not being able to fully like open and close my hand, not able to like fully pour my weight into my feet. Like I've never had to teach under those conditions.
Oh, wow.
And, I did it anyway. Or like answering questions to students with like, like literally like pus like oozing out of my forehead. And like, if you had spoken to me 2 years ago and said like that was going to be like, that I would do something like that, I like, even if it was future Gary talking to past Gary, I would have looked at future Gary and been like, ha, girl, you funny. Like, within those 2 years, you got a real cute sense of humor. Like, it was really cool to see myself still be able to, like I said, not only create the dances and do the things that I do, but also know that regardless of what was happening to me personally, I didn't let it affect the experience of the students that signed up for my classes. And I didn't let what was going on with me diminish the refinement and quality of what I bring to the table. Yeah. And if anything, I would arguably say that it did push me to a whole new level, to the sense where I do feel like I've grown as a dancer and as an instructor, and of course like as a person from that experience. So
nice.
Yeah, I never want to experience it again.
Right.
Don't get that twisted.
Right,
and I do not want to put that out in the ether.
Yes.
Like, we did that, let's check that off the box and never revisit that ever
congratulations
again. But it feels good knowing that even when I'm at my worst, I'm still that bitch.
What is that new level? Describe that new level that you were pushed to.
Like I said, I think it's just like, it's easy to be positive and inspiring and uplifting when you already feel that way. It's 1,000 times more difficult when like I said, to where like you just kind of want to like lay down and be away from people and like be in the dark in front of a fan, like watching TV and chilling.
Yeah. Like to clarify, so the next time you walk into a studio or a classroom, like it's a new Mr. Gary.
Oh yeah,
you know
absolutely.
What I'm saying? Like, well, I guess what are the things that new Mr. Gary are bringing to that classroom because of that experience?
I guess the new Mr. Gary's bringing in just like so I have a different relationship with my own body now. Okay. Because the way that I had to listen to it and the conversations and the dialogues that I had to have with it were conversations and dialogues that I never had to have before. Okay. So just because I have a natural new understanding of my own body, it's inherently going to affect the way that I view other people's bodies, which is also it's going to affect the way that I talk and explain about the body.
Okay. Okay. So it's also like a newfound self-awareness.
Yeah, it's a newfound self-awareness, a new type of understanding, a new type of appreciation, a a new way of like having to learn to like love myself.
Okay.
Like a huge thing that about this process was basically I was put in multiple situations to where like I had to like practice what I preach.
Oh.
And like really truly like live and stand by that. So like one of the things that I always tell people is just like, oh, like to truly have unconditional self-love, you have to love your body in every form and capacity. So like whether you gain a little extra weight and you're a little more chubbier and squishier than you were, like guess what? You still have to love yourself unconditionally without any reserve and completely unbound. Or, you know, same if you like get like we're all gonna get old, right? Yeah. So like when you get more wrinkles, or if you just can't move the way that you used to, you still have to love yourself fully and unconditional and so on and so forth. So I had to like, because there were points where like I didn't even want to like look at myself in the mirror when like brushing my teeth.
Yeah.
And so I had to even do like little things, so like forcing myself to do that and being like, okay, Gery, like first of all, your skin's doing the best that it can, your body's doing the best that it can. So like give it patience and give it understanding, as opposed to giving it scrutiny, and as opposed to giving it judgment, and as opposed to giving it shame ultimately. And then also just like knowing and recognizing that, like, again, just like reminding myself that I'm just like, you know what, like you still are amazing, and you still like you, like just reminding myself, I'm like, I have to love me. I can't like let the way that I'm physically look and also the way that I feel get in the way of like loving myself. Because it's when that happens to you, it's pretty easy to kind of fall in a cycle of like feeling like despair and feeling a sense of hopelessness and feeling just defeated. But just like remembering that, like, no, like I'm gonna overcome this somehow, some way. And the meantime, in between time, the easiest thing I can do is, like I said, like keep giving myself that love, as opposed to all the negative things that I'm thinking. Don't let that be the main driving force. Like ignore those voices and ignore those thoughts, because that's coming from the ego, and the ego is so heavily rooted in lies anyway. So
it's a self-awareness, self-compassion, and a self-love.
Yeah.
Can I ask a little more?
Sure.
Okay. So what did that look like minute to minute? Does that make sense? So what,
kind of.
You know, so for example, you're brushing your teeth, you're looking at yourself in the mirror, and then the first thought is, I don't want to look.
Yeah. The first thought is like, bitch, you look busted.
And then the new Mr. Gery does what next? Instead of, so before it would have been like, and then you just like stay brushing your teeth.
Yeah, I would look, and then I would like immediately look away.
Okay. And then the new Mr. Gery does what instead?
Just like looks at I look at my like reflection, and I'm just like, just like I say it to my reflection. I'm just like, hey, like I love you. Like not like audibly, of course, but like mentally in my head. Yeah, because I mean now, because like I'm much better, it is kind of easier to do.
Yeah.
But like I still have like some like scars and stuff that's like healing or whatever. So it's like knowing that there's still some self-consciousness there, but because when I was like, since I did the harder part already, it's like makes it, like I said, I just have a newfound like appreciation and care for myself. And it is like, I'm just more gentle and more understanding to me. And also it helped knowing that like things were out of my hands. Like it wasn't that I was doing anything wrong. It was just the circumstances of the situation, and like the cards weren't stacked in my odds. So also reminding myself of that, because I think when I was in the more challenging time, there were certain parts of me that was thinking like what did I do? Like thinking like, oh, like is it like, is my diet not like on point enough? Or like even thinking, I'm just like, is this like did I do something wrong? And like this is karma coming back to bite me in the ass. Like
so
all types of things. Yeah. All types of thoughts going through my head.
It wasn't even just like the situation. It was, what did I do?
Yeah.
Oh wow.
Exactly.
What would you say, and like when you started blaming yourself, what was that?
Oh,
What would you say to that thought in the mirror?
I mean now, especially because, like I said, now that I am getting like prescription drugs and so on and so forth, it's realizing that like I didn't have these things earlier.
Yeah.
So of course, like I'm not giving my body anything to help itself out or anything to kind of like, you know, like when you have eczema, your immune system's attacking your nerve system. So I'm not giving my body anything to like suppress that or counteract that. So it's just kind of like, because I didn't have the resources and I didn't have the access and I didn't have the means to it. So naturally, yeah, like of course it's going to take its toll and of course it's going to progress as time goes forward. But that's not because I'm doing anything wrong. I didn't ask to live in a country that doesn't give you free healthcare. I didn't ask to live in a country that requires like an astronomical amount of money for like live a certain healthy wellness and type of lifestyle. Like none of those things are in my hands. I didn't ask to live in a country where you have to work at least 90 days at a full-time job just to get healthcare benefits. You know, like none of those things have anything to do with me. So I just got fucked and realizing that like, nah, Gery, it's not, you didn't do anything wrong. This is just the circumstances and these are just the cards that you were dealt. And now you have to navigate through this really, really shitty situation. And hopefully, like I said, I'm the whole, is it karma thing? I hope that's not the case, but who can say for sure? I'm not perfect.
Because
sure.
because they're. Oh, I could think of.
I'm just like, I mean, I'm no saint. I'm no angel. Like, I try to live my life as like truth and just and honest as possible. But of course, I've done bad things in the past. Who hasn't?
Yeah. Nice. Yeah. You did that.
I did. Yeah.
You are gonna continue doing that. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Is there a different name for this new Mr. Gery?
No, not at the moment.
You should try to find one. This new self-compassionate, self-loving, self-understanding, self-aware Gery.
Yeah.
Even not that you weren't that before, but
yeah,
you know,
it's just deeper now.
It's
like
deeper.
I had all of those things before, but yeah,
Monsieur,
it's much more deeper.
Monsieur Gery. Monsieur Gery.
He's very fancy.
Monsieur.
He's refined.
Very French. Can I share teaching rose for me?
Absolutely. I thought you never asked.
Yes. So, I offer to you my teaching rose, which is
such a gentleman.
As I was, trying to frantically, what am I going to do? Like, where am I going to teach this fall? I had 3 or 4 2 new places that wanted me to teach.
Nice.
I actually had to turn a few people down.
Yes.
Yeah, it was really cool. So I had to be like, hey, these are my rates, and they were like, no, I can't afford that.
It's a flex.
Yeah, so it's cool.
It's hella cool.
It's unfortunate, that those kids aren't gonna be impacted by me.
Yeah.
Right. But yeah,
But you know your worth and you know your value, and it has nothing to do with the kids. It's just that structure doesn't have the means to pay you what you're worth. And baby, no shade, we ain't dimming our light for no goddamn bodies.
Yes,
so.
and I have the luxury and the privilege to have other options outside of that.
Well, congratulations.
Yeah. So there were too many offers for me to fit into my schedule, which is great. And also, we really want Mr. Jordan back. We really, really, really want Mr. Jordan back. We'll go through a bunch of these hoops to get Mr. Jordan back this year. It was really validating to hear that and affirming to hear that.
It goes to show that they see you as an essential part of what it is that they've got going on there. I think that's beautiful. That's fantastic.
Yeah.
Yeah, like they said, they were willing to do whatever they needed to do to make sure that they had you returning as a teaching artist. So.
I'm in the weird place where I have to okay, maybe I can fit this in the schedule and then move this around because I want to do as much as I can.
Of course, yeah.
Yeah, that's been nice.
Sustainability for Jordan.
Yeah, and I don't know, going back to that's really nice. And if I can have that the whole year round and have it stable, that would be awesome.
Right. Like that's the dream, right? Like in a perfect world, that's what your schedule would look like year round. Like you said, not having to worry about like essentially slow season, right?
Slow season, and then also there is a thing of like at the beginning of August, middle of August, I reach out to these people and say, "Hey, please have me back." That's I don't like that. Please have me back. It would be really nice to have like, okay, I have the summer off maybe, for example, and then I just know that this is where I'm going to be at in the fall.
Knowing that there's something lined up and waiting for you, as opposed to you like you said, kind of like groveling for like to have your position restored to you.
The contracted hourly thing is really nice with the flexibility of it, but it's not necessarily very stable. Yeah, and there's another group where now it's teens.
Okay.
So that's going to be new.
Do you have experience teaching teens?
Pretty professional. I do.
Okay.
I do. I just always was hesitant because they're all taller than me. They're all taller than me, and then I'm not cool.
I mean, you're taller than I am, and so how do you think I am?
Yeah, and I'm not cool enough.
I wouldn't say that. You're cool.
Nah, I think in my head, there's this prejudice where like the male figure at a high school is like that, like
a jock,
like that. Yeah, it's like that that coach, that football coach that says, "Hey, get it straight." You know what I'm saying? It's that stereotype in my head, and I'm not that.
Yeah. Thank God you're not that. I don't know if I would be sitting with you here today if you were like that.
Yeah, I enjoy 5th grade and younger.
Okay, that's kind of like your happy spot, 5th grade and younger.
5th grade and younger, because selfishly it's easier to connect with them.
I don't think that's selfish at all.
Yeah, there's less barriers to push through. Yeah.
Like they're like, do you feel like when you are working with middle schoolers and high schools, do you feel that there is some type of like pushback or some type of resistance to just like your whether it's your teaching methods or whether it's the class itself, whether it's the movement that you're offering them?
It's definitely because it's definitely the movement of like, I don't think that like why are we listening to house music? I want to do something cool. Or I just don't prefer the idea of like, what do you think? Okay, no, what about this? No, what about this? Yeah, because a lot of the spaces were, at least for the teens, it was, they're not there. They didn't choose dance. This dance is just this thing at their community center that came in as this enrichment thing. It's like, all right, everybody, you have to come.
Yeah.
You have to come and do this dance.
Yeah.
And they didn't really want to.
There's already resistance just walking through the door. So, how do you connect with someone that isn't even looking for a connection?
Right.
Right. Yeah.
Right. And the kids, I can just play a game and say, hey.
But do you have like any ideas of how you're going to approach this, since you have experience with the teens and you kind of have a gist of the mindset that they're in? Like,
what's nice about this program, I have to read into a little bit more. I haven't fully prepped, but it is a pre-professional mentorship program. So these teens have signed up.
Okay, so they they actually want to be there.
They've signed up for this. And
that's a huge difference.
Yeah, and they're ready to
learn.
Yeah, and they're ready to learn. What's really cool as well is that the 2 places that I'm teaching, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, they're majority Black spaces. And the leaders are majority Black leaders that are asking me to come back.
Doing it for the culture, baby.
Yeah, so that's really humbling to me too, especially because I'm coming saying, I'm going to teach you kind of part of your own culture.
Yeah, yeah.
Right? I'm going to
You're
teach you.
teaching,
I'm teaching you how. I'm bringing house and hip hop.
yeah,
You know,
teaching Black art forms to Black communities as a non-Black body.
that's interesting. That's complicated to me.
Yeah. Well, I can say, because I know you personally and I know how much you do your own personal research for yourself and for your classes, you're always extremely mindful of being respectful of the craft and being respectful of the history and making sure that you aren't just going into the spaces for a check. Like, you actively like want to make a difference. You actively want to spread this art form, and you actively want to make sure that it keeps going, right? And that it keeps like having like a presence, and that it doesn't, I mean, there's nothing worse than like an art form just dying out, right? And so this is how we keep those things from happening. Like, I mean, no, with hip hop, that's never going to happen, because at this point, God knows how many hip hop instructors there are. But like me with voguing, for example, or you for house dancing, for example, like those are art forms that like, it has a long history for a reason. And the only way it's going to keep having a long history is by like individuals such as ourselves. So, yeah, I think there's I bring all that up to say, I think that there's a reason why, even if you are Filipino, you're still very welcomed into these spaces, teaching a Black art forms. I should say.
So I think that's like the rose is like these Black leaders in this Black space recognize and are like, oh, Jordan, this non-Black person, you're, come on, like, come and help us with this new generation.
Yes.
Because
exactly.
I'm doing something right.
Yes,
Yeah.
indeed. Yes, you are.
Give me one more teaching rose, and then we'll do our final thing for you. Because I gave 2.
You did? Oh, I see. I didn't even clock that. It all just like,
Yeah. So the first one was they really, really wanted me back.
yeah.
And then I guess like a 1.5 is that the people that wanted me back are.
I see what you're saying. Yeah. Like that was
Black
like an
leaders.
extra layer to it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think one more teaching rose would have to be one of my yoga students, Casey, actually gave me my own advice back to me when I was just like opening up to her about like all of the things that I've been going through lately, and like the stuff that I was like sharing about earlier. She told me that she was just like, well, you told us in yoga that a lot of times just the most smallest little adjustment in one of the poses can like completely change and alter the experience. And so I was just like, fuck, I did say that, didn't I? So it just kind of like, she brought that up basically just to say of like, as far as like me just getting out of like my rut, if you will, of just like, yeah, just adjusting or tweaking or fine tuning one little thing, like that can make all of the difference of making Gery feel happier or less gloomy or whatever the case may be. So it was very humbling. It was extremely humbling being like, oh, like something I said made a big impact on you, and now you're dishing it back to me like touche, bitch. Okay.
What wise person?
Yeah, very much that.
What did you adjust? What did you end up adjusting?
Just really, truly taking it a day at a time and spending time like with loved ones and friends when like I feel I need that social interaction. And then just like, yeah, like knowing that like there's nothing wrong with spending all day in like solitude if that's like what I need, and just like taking my day at my own pace and resting as much as I need, and not feeling like I'm like letting the day waste by, or that I'm being like a couch potato or anything like that. Just being like, no, like my body feels most at peace and most soothed right now, like being in this position. So I'm going to continue to stay here until it sends me the message that it doesn't need to be like this anymore. Then I'll get up and moving and going.
So it was another reminder for that self-compassion.
Yes. Definitely.
Nice.
Yeah.
So our 1 minute bud
Yeah.
is our final segment where we just kind of have our final thoughts that wrap up this whole conversation.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to time you and then you time me.
Okay.
Okay. Are you ready?
As ready as I'll ever be.
Okay. So this is new Mr. Gery's 1 minute bud, and your time starts now.
Okay, so something that I'm really taking away from this conversation actually has to do a lot of the exchange of things that you were saying, and just the upcoming hurdles that you're going to be facing with your artistry, seeing how like the adjustments that you're going to have to make because of the personal things that you want to change, like expanding your family, things like that. But
30 seconds.
Being willing to do the work to investigate of making that happen, and just really I'm hoping that, you know, like you don't have to make a choice between the two. And so that just kind of reminded me of the personal hurdles that I was having with my artistry as far as teaching and going with my own personal battles, but mine's being health related, not so much, like I said, Gery ain't having no kids, so I ain't never gonna have the problem you got. But we still have to navigate those in different avenues, and we're gonna figure it out and we're gonna make it happen. So it makes me hopeful.
Just setting your feet and just one step at a time.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Because adversity is hard.
Fuck yeah, it is.
Adversity is hard. Adversity is hard.
All right. This is Mr. Jordan, a.k.a. J.RO's 1 minute bud. And he's starting now.
So, in addition to being able to plant your feet and push through the mud and the wind and the storm and take one step at a time, one thing I have really learned that I want to take away from this conversation is two things. Being able to share and be vulnerable with the people around you. Mm-hmm. First of all, because even though it was a really like heavy lift to put it on the table, it's lighter now. It's lighter for me. And also, in the same way that you can do that, like when you do that,
15,
your friend at the camp will support you and help you and make your journey through that segment of mud a lot more easy. Mm-hmm. And in the same way that we're here for each other in our adversity, that step, there could be somebody pulling you through that mud, and it'll just be easier to go through it when you let it out and let people help you.
Yeah. You're not in it alone, right?
You are not alone.
You're not in the shit alone. Thank you for that minute of beautiful insight, Jordan. I think that's a reminder that can apply to people even outside the arts. Yeah. Just knowing that when you're in the thick of it and through the mud and through the gunk, that I really like that imagery that you used of kind of like having that like belt or harnessed around you, and there's someone kind of there pulling on it to help get you out, as opposed to you like wearing it and just trying to pull yourself through. Mm-hmm. It's like, so thanks for that.
Mm-hmm. All right, we end it. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8.
Yes! Yeah.
Say bye.